North Dakota State has won 10 of the 14 last FCS national championships, but how would they do if they got promoted to the FBS level? It seems like the obvious decision, but it's not that simple. First of all, Fargo is located in the middle of nowhere compared to other conferences, so to even get them into the Mountain West, we had to bring along rivals South Dakota State too. Between them and North Dakota State, they've won 12 of the last 14 FCS championships, and the other two, James Madison and Sam Houston, have since moved up to the FBS level. Another problem North Dakota State would face moving up is struggling financially, so my recruiting classes in this video aren't going to be good, more so realistic. But that's what'll make this journey fun, is I'm going until we win a national championship. Like I just said, I want to keep things realistic in this video, so recruiting wise, trying to find those diamonds in the rough are like the 2 stars, the 1 stars that can turn into somebody good. And I wish I could recruit geographically out of states like Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, but there's 0 prospects generating from those regions. If there's anything to get excited about with this team, it's not the quarterback position, but we have a super good corner, Jalen Duffy, who is going to be around for a while. He literally has jail in his name, so I know he's going to be good. I'm hoping he's able to put any receiver he faces in jail. Bryce Lance is somebody he does that to at practice, a really good senior receiver we have, and then there's Charmar Brown, another former 2-star prospect, but this kid's a sophomore at running back, and he still has so much room where he can grow. Last year at the FCS level, he rushed for over 1,000 yards for 15 touchdowns. Our first opponent's actually back at the FCS level too, and I'm excited to see what we can do with this team. We are in Allegiant Stadium though. I couldn't put the Fargo Dome in this game. It only has like 20,000 seats, which is a little bit unfortunate, but there's our senior quarterback, Cole Payton. Throughout this rebuild, I want to play like North Dakota State does in real life. I want to be a ground and pound team. You can see that we're going to have success. And the Bison have won so many recent national championships. Did you really think they were going to struggle against an FCS school? We have just run away with this one 30-0. And this is a great start to us moving up, but that level of competition is past us now. We already know that Charmar Brown can run over schools like that, but what we're trying to find out is if he can do it against ones like Nebraska too. Even though he's only a sophomore, I am starting to look for his replacement already. CJ Gladney would have 91 speed, 82 juke move as a freshman. And then at the quarterback position, Dom Easter would be amazing because he can both run and pass. Before we can play Nebraska though, we have to start Mountain West Conference play, North Dakota State's new conference against San Jose State. And one thing I'm noticing is maybe moving up has gotten to some of these players' heads because there's a lot of players threatening to transfer. I thought we'd do a lot better against the Spartans than we did, but we lost this one 45-10. And that's got me nervous going on the road to Nebraska, even though in the past North Dakota State's been known for upsetting FBS schools. Either way, this is just our first season. We're going to have a long way to go. And we kept it close through the first quarter, but everything after that's been a struggle. Thankfully, we're about to pick up this 3rd and 11, which gives me a little bit of hope. We just haven't been able to establish the run the way I've wanted to. The only time we scored, it was when Charmar Brown had a really good drive. We have been clamped up on this play. And so much for being realistic and respectful to North Dakota State. This is way worse than this game would go in real life. We just got annihilated. To be fair though, sophomore Dylan Raiola was going to be a bit better. And this is a good time to mention that I'm not allowed to go down the recruiter skill tree in this video. I want to focus on tactician, I want to focus on motivator, so our players that we recruit develop a lot better. And I think that's how it needs to be anyway. Our school grades are nothing good to sell players on. North Dakota State averages like the 140th best class in the country. And there's nothing to pitch these recruits on when it comes to coming to our school because even proximity to home is always going to be bad. With only 350 hours to spend a week, I have to put 25 hours into players sometimes, and then we're losing battles to schools like Wyoming on 2 stars. It's going to be a process, but luckily we're playing on the road at Nevada. They're terrible in real life. They're 0-3 in the game, and that is why I'm not surprised we took them down in sim 25-21. Just looking at the rest of our schedule, I can't say whether or not this team's going to be able to make a bowl game in their first year at the FBS level yet, but depending how the next few weeks go, I might have some higher hopes. Well, it's safe to say some of those matchups didn't go the way I was hoping they would. We're currently sitting at 3-5, and it's bad we didn't score against Wyoming once, but it seems like in the coming weeks the offense has gotten a little bit better. New Mexico gave us a much needed win. In that game, we were not able to throw for many touchdowns. We also didn't run the ball that well, but Tyson Collins Jr. is in. Maybe the reason we're not doing so hot is our star running back broke his fibula. He's basically out the rest of the year, and that's going to make it a lot less likely that we have success against some of these upcoming opponents. NIU, a team that just announced they're joining the Mountain West for football only for whatever reason, beat us by 23, but we took down Hawaii, and going into our final game against our big rival South Dakota State, we're 4-7. I kind of just breezed by everything because besides recruiting, we couldn't do much, and I have noticed that they are sitting at 4-7 just like us. My hope is we've at least thrown together a pretty good recruiting class for the standards. We've got 5 5-stars to commit, all of our top targets, though you're going to see that we are losing out on some of these other battles, and that's what makes luring in 3 stars like CJ Gladney and Dom Easter so important. With all that out of the way though, it is time that that we take on the Jackrabbits. And if we don't get this 3rd and 6, we're still going to go for it on 4th down, so we ran it. This is a big moment here in the second quarter. We already find ourselves up. We didn't have enough time to get it out, but miraculously, our defense continues to get stops like on this 3rd and 11. We're going to hopefully keep on scoring as well. I mean, we are just running away with it. And this is at least us asserting our dominance on our rivals. Maybe we're not going to make it to a bowl game in year 1, but we are going to finish 5-7 with a 28-point win over South Dakota State. And Tyson Collins Jr. still filled in nicely. He's a senior, so we're not going to have him back next year, but we're not going to need him with a healthy Charmar Brown. And on the passing side of things, we didn't throw for that many yards. We had a lot of turnovers from Cole Payton, and that means our receivers also didn't do too hot. As for the conference championship, we were the only team in the Mountain West to take down Nevada. And I had an opportunity to get rid of both of our coordinators, so we're going to make sure we do that. I want to bring in coaches that are able to develop our talent well, that have good tactics for on the field. And fortunately, I found that on both sides of the ball. We also have 30 coach points of our own to spend, so we're going to start out by making sure our offensive line develops a little bit quicker, and then doing the exact same thing at the quarterback position. We have tier 3 in a few categories over there. Down here in the other skill tree, all that's maxed out right now is our offensive line's blocking stats, but we have plenty of time to improve. We're only a level 8. We're not supposed to be in the playoffs right now. I will say I'm a little bit surprised at how many players are transferring out. I thought they were going to stick with us, but I guess losing some coaches contributes to that. And then on the senior side of things, we're losing starting quarterback Cole Payton and then Bryce Lance, who was our best receiver. At least in the transfer portal, it seems like we're going to have plenty of options to choose from. I'm excited that Javis Bond is here. I've used him in a video before and he was incredible. But besides that, most of the other players transferring were just linemen, and we can only get so many of those. That means I also focused on bringing in some 2-star linebackers. And we even got 3-star Terrence Logan, who might be better than the player that I originally pointed out. Apparently we signed Javis Bond too, but this kid's going to be a senior, while Terrence Logan is at least 2 years younger. Looking at the rest of our board, yeah, there's some lost battles on these linemen. But we had a class of 25 players that was ranked twice as high as something North Dakota State would have in real life, and South Dakota State was even a few spots above us. I don't want to sign more than 10 3-stars in a season though. Looking at the rest of our conference, the Mountain West, they all recruited worse than the 2 new schools. But we can't let these rankings mean too much. It's all about how we develop these kids, and Don Duke is the only player that has star dev or higher, but he was just a 2-star. When it comes to the running back position, I know that we're going to be stacked with this practical 3-headed monster, but other positions like quarterback could be a little bit more rough depending on what Dom Easter is. He's going to be a 68. I also already forgot about CJ Gladney. This was an athlete that we were going to move over to running back, but taking another look at it, he might be better at 5'9" as a left end. No, we're going to keep him as a running back. He's too small. Right before player progression, I'm also going to make sure that our defensive backs are improving a little bit quicker, and then I'm going to get tier 4 for our offensive linemen, our running backs, and our quarterbacks, which just means they start off hot in the 4th quarter in close games. That could be the difference maker to whether or not we make a bowl game this year. We are going to come in at a 77 overall. Charmar Brown's our best player. Of course, Jalen Duffy is number 2. And our quarterback issue has already been resolved. Dom Easter's not going to start because Nathan Hayes the Jr. is up to an 80 overall. He's just a former 2-star with normal development, but his accuracies are actually really good, and they could continue to improve as he develops more. In fact, considering Dom Easter's accuracy caps, plus the fact that he is normal dev, we're going to be looking for another quarterback this year. And also some wide receivers. I know that we recruited George last year, but I don't like what we're working with at this position. We have a team need there, and also a tight end too, but not as great as it is for our offensive line or some of these defensive positions. I can't believe how much we need to recruit. I have to build up a deep class of players, and even though 3-stars might be better to get, it's going to be easier to sign the 2-stars, especially gyms. By the time I'm done building my starting board, this is what it looks like. I've actually found a couple receivers that are gyms, and we even got an insta commit out of Eric Haslam, who is a 3-star receiving back coming in with 91 speed. I feel pretty lucky finding that, and we're not going after a quarterback that's a gym. We're just going to go after Carl Denny because it costs 50 hours a week to scout players. It isn't worth our investment when those hours could go to actually signing guys. Our first game is against New Mexico State, and that starts the string of 3 straight road games in a row. Looking at our schedule though, it looks so easy compared to what it could be. South Dakota State's always going to be at the end. At the moment though, it's still difficult for us. We're losing 24-17 to New Mexico State, which I really don't mind that much because we bounced back, taking down both Hawaii and Wyoming. They were both pretty tight, and in this game that went to overtime against Wyoming, I'm gonna have to say it, Nathan Hayes was atrocious, but we leaned on our 3-headed crew that all scored a touchdown. This will be a run-heavy team this season, and we're about to play Western Michigan, which I actually want to hop into. They won't be on our schedule again, but with how Team Builder works in this game, it would be big if we took them down. And I'll explain why later. We're trying to start with an opening touchdown, which we're gonna get with Javis Bond. I'm telling you, we're just gonna run the football better than everybody else throughout this rebuild. But that that doesn't always lead to wins. Here in the fourth quarter, on 4th and 1, we're just going to pick it up. And yet we are still trailing them by 4 points. The main thing I don't like about our offense right now is we don't have a scrambling quarterback to pair with this rushing attack, which would definitely make us harder to stop. Javis Bond is going to take this handoff, though, all the way to the 7. And don't you worry, North Dakota State fans, I'm also going to make sure we use our fullback a bit. This has been a long drive, but we should be able to get in the next couple plays. And that's only going to leave Western Michigan a little bit of time left on the clock. They've actually made things way worse for themselves by continuing to stop us. We're punching it in with 10 seconds left, and they never used any of their timeouts. What a win here at the Fargo Dome. Like I said, this is going to be very, very important. And the reason for that is I want to unlock the Architect Coach archetype. In here at Tier 2, you have a chance to increase random skill caps every time a player levels up. We have to win 4 rivalries to do so, though. And the only rivalry game that's going to be on our schedule the rest of this rebuild will be against South Dakota State. We've gotten our first signing, though, outside of the insta-commit, and that is quarterback Carl Denny. We'll see how good he is. And we have an opportunity to start 4-1 because we're about to play an FCS school. I thought we were good by now to be simming games like that, but it wasn't the case. We lost by 4. Our next ones coming up are at home. And I'm going to be taking on anybody that could be a threat to us making it to the Mountain West Conference Championship. UNLV's not one of those teams. They're currently sitting at 1-3. And we actually handled business winning this one 24-21. Air Force was one of those teams, though, but here's the problem. I'm only letting myself hop into 3 games every season, and I want to play against 6-0 San Jose State plus South Dakota State, which means the fate of our season is going to be in the hands of Sim and how good our roster is. That's how I want it to be. I want us to be forced to build a good team, which I feel like we're actually doing a pretty good job of so far, but we are about to lose this battle on the 3-star to Old Dominion. They have a slight lead and a visit week, which turns out is not something that you can bounce back from, but besides him, everybody else on our board did end up signing, and now we're starting to go after a lot of other 2-stars. During that whole recruitment time period, though, we lost to Air Force, we lost to Northern Illinois, and then we had a bye week, so we're prepared on the other side of it to win these final 4 games. And if we can achieve it, it would put us in the conference championship game still, because the rest of the Mountain West is just bad. It is a real shame that realignment has just tore it apart in real life, but let's see if we can beat San Jose State. Considering by the end of the 3rd quarter, they have scored 0 points. They have done themselves absolutely 0 favors. We're still trying to punch it in right here, though, and we're close. To end this quarter, Charmar Brown's gonna get the final carry. He is gonna fall short. And on the other side of things, it's time for a fullback dive, because I think that's what's gonna get us in. Actually, it's gonna be a quarterback sneak. I accidentally selected it. We're not gonna get it, but we did somehow get enough for the first down, so don't let anybody ever tell you that 3 inches isn't enough. As time winds down in this one, we've been working to just maintain our lead. They're taking a few more shots up. They did end up getting on the board. We could have deflected that into their hands, but thankfully their receiver had 0 awareness, and we're going to get this win even though their quarterback is happy after that 4th down. That was terrible timing for the game to show that graphic, but either way, we're coming out on top. And Charmar Brown's been able to remain healthy all season. We are also on the brink of making it to a bowl game. We just need one more win. But not only does it not happen, we lose to New Mexico 42-0. Surely we'll play better a week later against Nevada, and a team that we beat last year is also a team that we can beat this season. However, there is a 4-way tie for 2nd place in our conference. I'm not sure what the tiebreaker is, but if we beat South Dakota State, I think we're above all these teams. And that's because we beat them head-to-head, so this rivalry is more important than ever before. Now, just looking at Brown's stats, he's had a great year. And that type of success has continued against South Dakota State. We're up by 9, we're going up by even more. And if we go for the 2-point conversion, we can get a 3-possession lead. I don't think it should be any surprise that we're just going to hand this off. I missed the hole. And then South Dakota State scored, bringing it within 1 possession, which has made this next drive so important. Charmar Brown's dealing with a bit of wear and tear damage, though. He's down 4 speed. And that's why he's not the one getting the ball on 4th and inches. Our fullback lost 2 yards. That was quite the opposite of what we needed right there. They also just threw it straight at me. But our current users are just a little bit too slow, and I'm going to give up the seam, but they missed the pass. This is now a massive 4th and 1 for the Jackrabbits. I almost want to run commit because I felt like they were going to go with it, but they just bounced off of us like it was nothing. We're not going to make the tackle. What is that? We should have been ending this game right there. And instead, we have to stop them on the 2-point conversion. They catch it. I literally made the right decision to run commit, so now I'm going to complain about the stadium. What on earth is going on for us to have Texas State behind the end zone? I should have edited the South Dakota State team builder a little bit better than I did. I couldn't find one that matched up name-wise. Either way, that sack right there is brutal for us to take. We're not going to be able to take another. And this is one of those situations where However, I have run it down to 10 seconds just in case we pick up enough yards here to kick a field goal. We actually could. That throw was perfect. But I had to play it safe so they didn't have enough time to respond back if we didn't pick it up. They've iced us, but it's not going to matter. We just shocked our rivals on the road in the final seconds. And I wasn't the biggest believer in Nathan Hayes until that moment. He's put the team on his back. We're in the Mountain West Conference Championship in year number 2 of being at the FBS level. And this is something that I could actually see happening, something that could be realistic if they ever moved up, just based off of how teams like James Madison have done. We might have lost this one by 10 points in sim, but it's hard to beat somebody twice. Oregon knows that better than anybody else. Which is why even if we have to play this game on the road, I'm feeling pretty confident. We have started down by 7, but we're also close to the end zone. And I don't think running the ball is going to get us in. We're going to have to throw it, and that is going to be dropped. Little bit of a disappointing ending, but we can still take our 3. And that ended up being the right decision. Points have been almost impossible to come by in this game. But we lucked out that they did not react to that pass, and now with the handoff, I thought we were going to get the outside block. My hope is we're able to at least finish this drive off. We have our corner route open. I actually made a good read. We even broke the tackle, and we are now going up on top of Air Force. We also forced a turnover to start the 4th quarter, which is going to put us inside the red zone. We're getting a nice run. And at the moment, the odds are in our favor to take down the Falcons. We just have to get into the end zone. The speed difference was simply too great right there. And we've just continued to run away with this one more than I thought we would. On 4th and 3, we're getting the interception with Falk. We have clamped up right there, and we might even have a chance at a pick 6. Got to make this kid miss. One more guy to beat. Either way, it was over from that point. Nothing that they could do. And Nathan Hayes had himself a little bit of a performance. We are now Mountain West champions for the first time ever. But the real challenge in this video is, can we turn that into a national championship? I just don't believe that 2-star quarterbacks like Joe Knox are going to get us there. And what is our luck? Our bowl game is going to be against the Ducks. I think I can confirm for you all right now that we are not going to take down Oregon. But I guess you never know. It doesn't hurt to at least try. Well, we have scored 0 points in this matchup. It doesn't matter that we've helped them do a field goal 4 times. We can't get open. And here we go. 4th and 12. I have almost no hope that we're going to put it over that kid's head. I tried to tap pass, but that was never, ever going to work. The thing is, though, the fact that our defense even held them to 19 points is extremely impressive. And Oregon should be competing for championships, not beating us in bowl games. But how did Purdue win it all? That's got to be a first in one of these videos. Fortunately for us, the Mountain West Conference champions are only losing 6 players off the team, so they should be able to run it back. And this is going to be pretty crazy to say, but Nathan Hayes threw for less yards than we rushed for as a team, and it was Charmar Brown that had 1,500 of them. Just a nuts year from him. Also, transfer running back Terrence Logan had the 2nd most receiving yards despite getting like no carries, which means I might need to explore turning him into a wide receiver. Now, looking at our transfer portal options, they're the exact same as last season, just a bunch of offensive linemen, maybe a tight end or running back sprinkled in there, maybe a wide receiver too. And I don't mind taking a shot on him to transfer in at all. I should also point out that Chance Hendricks could be our starting quarterback just because he has 91 speed. I did scout him. But of course, that wouldn't be until Nathan Hayes graduates, and it's really dependent on whether or not he commits and whether or not he's actually good. Now, we aren't going to win every recruiting battle, mainly because I know no matter what we pitch hard sell-wise, we're not going to get Devin to come to our school over Duke. But I'm at least starting to see a little bit of improvement whenever it comes to our school grades. And to my surprise, on National Signing Day, we lost some 2-star battles up here, and then we got the 3-star transfers to sign, but the 2-star transfers were another issue. Also, this kid to Ball State. It is pretty disappointing to see that Chance Hendricks only has normal dev. Plus, whenever it comes to finding star dev or higher, signing 2 stars has been better than the 3 stars. Micah Hodge has star dev, and then the only 3-star that does is Lamar Stovall, the receiver. He's 6'5", though, which automatically makes him the best player in this class. Our recruiting class is going to be ranked lower than last year's. It is all the way down here at 89. And I know it's still better than most of the other schools in our conference, including South Dakota State, but look at this. UNLV's all the way up at number 46. I mean, this is still more talent than North Dakota State gets right now in real life, but is it ever going to be enough to get us a championship? That is the real question, and both of these athletes that are going over to quarterback had normal dev, even Carl Denny, so we're just going to see who has the better skill caps. But it also makes unlocking architect just so much more crucial, because if we get tier 2 for quarterback limitless, then they can level up far past them. I also think it's time that we do pour some coach points into running the ball because we use our running backs so much they should have their stats maxed out, which they're probably pretty close to doing since both of our coordinators have gotten a little bit better since they were hired. Whenever it comes to our player progression, senior corner Jalen Duffy's up to an 86, and look at this, Charmar Brown's a 93. He might be the best player we have in this video. Now keep in mind, some of that is with tactician boost. He didn't even max out his skill caps. He's an 88 without any of the tactician stuff, which means I'm really betting on one of these running backs to become better than that now. Maybe it'll be CJ Gladney. Either way, no matter what it says, we're going to continue to recruit running backs. I don't care if we need them or not. I want to always have some good ones that could develop, and our team needs are also starting to go down, only 16 this year. Once we can actually focus on talent over numbers, I think that's where we're really going to start to shine. Now, looking at our non-conference schedule alone, I can confirm I'm not a big fan of having to play at Boise State and against number 16 Nebraska, but besides that, we know it's not going to look too difficult. And I can look past it because North Dakota State has started to scout in the state of Florida. They're looking far away from Fargo, and we found this quarterback with 96 throw power. He's also a gym, so it feels like we hit the jackpot, but I think we should start the season playing against Air Force. As I said that, out of habit, I accidentally simmed it. And I wanted to play it since we faced them in the Mountain West Conference Championship game last year, but thankfully we won this one too. Now, a team I don't think we need to hop into is New Mexico. They're 0-2 already, which is great. We beat them by 3, then we got to play an FCS school who we beat by 10, and Wyoming who we won on the road against by 12. Now, it just hit me. The same school that lost to an FCS school last season won the Mountain West Conference Championship, which means in order for us to see how good we actually are, we have to play outside the conference against Boise State, who used to be a part of it. I should make teams visit the Smurf Field more often than I do in some of these rebuilds as well. It's a unique place to play and somewhere where we have just been humbled throughout this entire first half. We have given up 24 points. We've only scored 3. Right here, we're just missing the throw. And if a comeback's ever going to start, it's going to start right now where they're snagging the interception. Yep, this one's over. We're getting picked off with dudes that have hoodies on in a football game. It is time to just wrap things up, move on to the next one. An interception or not, this is not drip. I don't care. Buddy ripped off one of the 2 arm sleeves on his hoodie. If your friend pulled up wearing a hoodie with one sleeve, even if it's to the gym, it is getting clowned on. And we basically just got clowned on by Nebraska, only putting up 3 points at home. You know what's so sweet about all this though? We're still sitting atop our conference standings, and I don't think we're going to lose until we play either San Jose State or South Dakota State. Those are the other 2 matchups that I'm hopping into again. It doesn't matter who else is on our schedule. Maybe, just maybe it should though. We lost to Nevada on the road by 4. And did that change our place in the conference standings? No, it did. We will literally be a game ahead of everybody else if we just win this one. And it looks like there are not too many stands in the crowd. There's a little bit more near midfield though. That is the better seat in the stadium. I'm starting to think that Spartan fans just knew their team was buns though, and that's why they didn't show up. We have literally run the ball all game and we're about to go up 28-3. And they've let us get like 5 yards per carry until now. Of course, this is when they start to show out. We didn't even hit that one correctly. But Charmar Brown is still able to find the end zone. And by that point in the game, the band was the only people left in the crowd. We did whatever we wanted to in that one. And I completely forgot I started going after a 3-star fullback, but I guess we got him. That feels like a waste of one of our up to 10 3-star signings in a year, but look at this. We're still losing battles, more on the 2 stars than the 3 stars, and we did get quarterback Noah Sharp. I just don't understand why it's easier to recruit the 3 stars in this game. We're going to have a dude named Cologne running around at safety. And if we want to make it to our conference championship, all we have to do is not lose our next 2 games. I think we're off to a pretty good start, winning this one 34-0. And NIU doesn't scare me either. They should go back to the MAC where they belong. Despite there being no mountains, not even hills in DeKalb, and Illinois not being out west, they didn't take my insult nicely. They beat us by 8. And all that means is we're still first place in the Mountain West, but if we lose this game, there's a chance we won't make the conference championship. Also, look at the Jackrabbits down here at the bottom. This rivalry win might be a lot easier for us to get than I thought it was going to be. But ask yourself, when have I ever made anything easy? We're currently down by 5 points, and if they're able to pick up this 3rd and 6, we're not going to be in a great spot. I thought I was about to lurk them. Instead, they're inside field goal range. We could literally still make the conference championship even if we lose this game as well. I can see they're trying to scramble. We're all over it. And I want you to know the clock ran down past the 2-minute warning before the timeout was even called. 1 second doesn't make that much of a difference, but it's just like those little details I wish EA would notice more of. I thought they did it first. And here we go. We have 2 minutes to drive down the field, score a touchdown, and also get the 2-point conversion. I will try to save all 3 of our timeouts for as long as we can, just in case we don't. And here on 2nd and 10, I'm looking over the middle at our tight end. He's able to catch it, and he's also running for quite a bit. This kid transferred in a year ago. If you have not realized by now, I stare down one receiver. Whether he gets open or not, that determines our success on the play. I'm looking in our tight end's direction again right here. last second little throw too. But that didn't exactly work. You know what might? A run. I'm hoping it can throw them off. We are not fast enough to do that. We have 16 rushes for 33 yards in this game with him. That sums up how we've done throwing the ball or running the ball. That's how we're doing throwing the ball. It's a pick. They're breaking the tackle, and we got to bring them down. Okay, now obviously that was not ideal. But here's the thing. Not all hope is lost. Except it might be because they did a read option. I was not ready for it. They're going to pick up the first. And no matter what happens, now they can run out the rest of the clock. We're going to lose to our rivals. And this was a game that would have unlocked the architect tree for us. But instead, our entire season's been spoiled. We didn't even make it to the conference championship. You know what the most disgusting part about that is as well? We beat San Jose State. What was the tiebreaker? It is what it is. Nathan Hayes is going to graduate with just one conference championship. Nothing too impressive from him in the passing game. And Charmar Brown did not have a great year running the ball either compared to last. From a receiving perspective, 2 of our top 3 targets are seniors, the guys with 361 yards. They're gone. We're going to have Taj Murphy back. But with some more positive news, we have signed Max. I will be using Cologne quite a bit. We also might have a real chance at winning a bowl game this year, and I think we can consider this a successful season, especially if Noah Sharp's dev trait was better than impact. I mean, that'll still do. I just want to see some better stuff like star on Cologne. Maybe 85 speed's not going to make him the most fun user, but he should develop well, and it is time to see if our seniors can get themselves one more win. I can definitely get behind us having another 8-win year. But you know who couldn't? The guys out there on the field that actually have to make the plays. We're gonna lose. I can't even blame our offense entirely. I gotta say, it's defensive related too. But Nathan Hayes didn't stand much of a chance back there. Of course, Brady Dragish is good in this. He wasn't in the road to glory I played. And I'd say the most annoying part about this season is we have not unlocked the architect tree yet. We're still gonna have to have one more win over South Dakota State. It might be better to shoot for Master Motivator, but we have to have 5 players drafted in order to do that, which only happens to teams that complete for stuff like spots in the playoffs. At least we're going to get one step closer to unlocking Master Motivator, putting one player onto the NFL. I was hoping Jalen Duffy could have also gone. And I gotta say, I really appreciate how many options we're getting in the transfer portal. This is not normal, but I can only go after one more 3-star recruit, and I'm not sure who it's going to be. Scouting freshman running back transfer Jonathan Woodside, though, made that the easiest decision in the world. This kid has 93 speed and 89 trucking already. It is better if I don't talk about the things I would do to land a player like that on a run-heavy team. And I don't know how it's being done, but we are out-recruiting Penn State for him. Now, he's probably like their 26th option or something, but we discover those gems. We find them, we make them better. And every single one of the players on our board believed in that, besides the idiots that chose Arkansas and Iowa. They would have at least seen the field for us. Our recruiting class is going to be ranked all the way down here at 84, though. And that's with 10 3-stars, the max I'm able to sign, so I'm starting to think that first class that we got's going to be the best one of the entire video. Now, unfortunately, Jonathan Woodside just has impact development, but he's still going to be hard to stop at 234 pounds. And when it comes to Noah Sharp's overall, the potential future quarterback of this team, he's going to be a 73. With these training results, I don't think there's anything to be too excited about. We're an 80 overall, just like last season, and at the quarterback position, we have quite the battle going on. Now, not everybody gets to make the cut. I think I've over-recruited a little bit too much here. And that was also true for a lot of other positions, so starting this season, I'm going to be looking for 10 really good 3-star gyms, and outside of that, maybe like 5 2-stars. It is just unfortunate that it takes us so long to scout, but we have a gym on our first search. And I'm always looking at quarterbacks, but I might need to stop because Noah Sharp comes in, and even with his impact dev, his accuracy can basically max out. That might seem like a little bit of an over-exaggeration, but when I look at these other 2 quarterback prospects, you're going to see that they've basically already hit their caps. And that's why Noah Sharp is going to start for us as a true freshman. Carl Denny, you have no future here. I would also like to say that despite thinking Terrence Logan was going to be our starter as a senior when he transferred in a couple years ago, Jonathan Woodside is going to go over him. And we've gotten ourselves 3 years of a 234-pound running back that can still get better at trucking, strength, and all that, and even his speed is 93 despite having 3 skill caps. He also has abilities such as head first, workhorse, armbar. They're going to be good. And just because I believe in this team to have a better season than last, I'm also going to put some of our tactician points into quarterbacks so the true freshmen can play better. So far, whenever it comes to recruiting, I've already been able to find 4 gyms, but we are going after 2 3-star quarterbacks because they both are gyms and I don't want to miss out on one of them. I'm basically just going to hope that they can play some other positions well, and the scouting to find the 10 players that I really want might take a little bit. We just have to stop taking chances on everybody. We've been recruiting too many players, and I want to see if we can take down number 6 Nebraska. Is it likely? No, but it'd be pretty cool if we did it after taking down an FCS school. And I don't know why it still shows Air Force's logo here. We can't see their stats. Even even their school name, so I don't know what they did offensively to beat us, but they did beat us, 31-29. Do not blame our freshman quarterback either, Noah Sharp. He never turned the ball over. It was really the fact that Jonathan Woodside was playing great until he got injured. That is right, it took him no time to already be out for a few weeks. And we're sending a true freshman quarterback into number 2 Nebraska without his best offensive player to lean on. Whatever happens here, I think it would have been worse if we just simmed it straight up. And do you know how I'm feeling right now? I don't care if they're about to take a lead on us. We are in this game against the Cornhuskers. Now, not stopping the run there could be a bit of an issue since they are going to be able to burn through clock. But I wasn't sure if the computer would actually be smart enough to turn on chew clock or not. They did, and they're also just going for the crib. It is definitely going to be much harder to respond back with a touchdown instead of just a field goal. We've only gotten 1 touchdown. But that's because it's been a defensive game. We have a quarterback that has 96 throw power. He just has to get enough time to throw it up. And that's going to be a pick, isn't it? It is. All I had to do was not get a red meter there, and we would have had a huge pass. Instead, we're just hoping that we're able to stop Nebraska's rushing attack. And it's really not a problem for us. We've been able to do it most of the game. But instead of having 45 seconds and 3 timeouts, we're now going to have 20 seconds and no timeouts to get the touchdown. You know what the best case scenario thing to do is at this point in the game, especially since they have the home field advantage, throwing it up and seeing if we can make an aggressive catch. I don't have the 6'5" freshman out there right now because he is redshirted. You could tell they were about to get pressure in right there, though. We're not getting this. And after another failed play on 3rd down, this is it right here. It's 4th down and it's out of bounds. That's it. Nebraska is going to survive against us. But you know what? They had a 10+ overall advantage at every position, and I think that means we'll do much better against Air Force. We ended up winning against the Falcons by 14, and we even beat Hawaii and Wyoming on the road, but Colorado State took us down by 6. But it's okay. I know this is going to be confusing. They're a part of the Pac-12, so we're still undefeated in conference play. This is the group of teams that the Pac-12 has at the moment. Colorado State's one of them, so we went 0-3 in conference play. But we could improve to 4-0 in Mountain West play if we just win at UNLV. This is my first time putting my hands on Jonathan Woodside, getting a good feel for him, seeing how well we're able to run the ball. And I'd be lying to you all if I didn't say he's been a little bit underwhelming so far. He's not as fast as he's supposed to be. I don't know, he just doesn't feel like 93 speed. Here on 3rd and goal, we're rolling out with Sharp. You know what? We're going to go for the aggressive catch. And that's who's been fun to play with. He has completed so many passes like that. If anybody's going to be the reason that we win this game, it's going to be Noah Sharp, not Jonathan Woodside, though that was a cool hurdle. And let's see what we can do with our other running back, Terrence Logan. He's going to find the hole up the middle, which means we can take a 3-possession lead if we get this 2-point conversion, and I don't like it. There just wasn't much to throw right there, but if we can get them off the field on this 4th and 6, it's over. We're going to get the interception. And just for fun, I've been trying to give Jonathan Woodside a few more carries, but he's not broken off a big one. Time will tell, though, if he's actually going to be good. He's still got plenty of time to develop as a sophomore. And either way, Noah Sharp can lead the offense. In hindsight, it feels pretty dumb that we recruited 2 3-star gyms at the quarterback position. And even if we're not recruiting most of the players that you're about to see on our board, I ended up leaving all the prospects that we had to run through in order to find the 10 gyms, just so you can see how much work it took. We have been able to find them at this point. And aside from right outside linebacker Kyrie Gleason and these 2 cornerbacks, it's mainly just been about offense. I feel like my hit rate of finding gyms, though, was pretty good. We hit over 33% at the time. And I'm just hoping by the time that we hop into our game against South Dakota State, we're still cruising through conference play. Well, this might be the most disappointing 3-game stretch we've had so far, but I can't say the signs weren't there. Remember, we started the season losing to an FCS school. I thought maybe there was going to be a trend where losing to an FCS school meant winning our conference, but it's not the case. We can't even get in since both these teams have the tiebreaker over us, and South Dakota State's 4-7. But before we finish rebuilding North Dakota State, a word from Prize Picks, today's video sponsor. You gotta take advantage of this free square on Prize Picks during the national championship game. You can pair it with anything. And this is what I went with, which you could copy or fade. Prize Picks is all about picking higher or lower on certain player projections. And it's available in these states, over 40 of them, where Code Board will get you $50 instantly whenever you play with your first $5 plus lineup. Just make sure that you play responsibly. And now it's time to get back to rebuilding North Dakota State. It might have been worth it to just sim this one since we lost it last season when I hopped into it. And if I'm being honest, my track record doesn't look too good at the moment. We're about to lose this one too. We should not be down by 12 right now, but we are, and it's because I'm forcing it into windows like that. And that's just gotta be a ball that we hold on to. They're also stopping the run well. They held us to 2 yards per carry last year too. The jet touch pass isn't gonna get enough. And here we go. It is now 4th and goal where I am going to run straight into the sack. You can't make this up. Bad decisions are gonna cost us this game. But hang on, what if I told you that we had 2 2 minutes to come back against our rivals, South Dakota State. We can pull this comeback off with 3 timeouts left. The return's not going for much. And I shouldn't have much hope since we've only been able to score 7 points in this game, but for whatever reason, I do. That first completion gets the ball rolling. Now we're beating the press over on that right side where that ball was almost underthrown. But instead, it was placed literally perfectly, and the halfback screen, we're gonna cut up and take into the end zone. That's exactly what we needed, but we're not done yet. We still have to stop them too. But I feel like getting the ball back in this situation is my specialty at this point. I have to do it pretty often. I like this run commit up the middle out of cover 3. They can't do much. But where it gets dicey is on 3rd down, where sometimes the computer passes like they're doing right here, and they go to their flat, which we are going to wrap up. All right, we're gonna have a minute to respond. This punt's also putting us in a pretty good position. And we don't necessarily have to go for any huge plays, though that was a risky pass. It was not for a first down, so time is gonna run off the clock. This one will at least allow us to stop it, plus we turned up for 10. But the pressure is starting to build. How am I gonna choke this one away? We have the look. Over on that side, it just needs to be put past that cornerback. The thing is, though, they could still score. We gave them plenty of time to get a field goal. 3 points only wins them the game, though. If we can't get in on this 2-point conversion, it just wasn't there. And we're going to have to hope that our pass rush just screams right here, or they throw us an interception. They might have done it right there. Tackle inbounds. Considering they still have 2 timeouts left after that, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. And then they went over to the sideline right there, but I'm hoping we bait them into a pick. I think if we didn't hit their quarterback, we had it right there. We're kind of playing with fire doing that. They're going to roll out and throw it to a flat. But here we go. This cover 4 palm seems to help us lock up in these situations. We know what play that is. They have also hurried it up for whatever reason, and then they took a timeout. Great program in there. Absolutely no logic going on in the computer's head right there, but now they're throwing it short. You know what? We have to let this play run until clock is gone. If he fell down at like the 40-yard line, they could have won that game with a field goal and a timeout. But instead, we've come out on top against our rivals. You know what? Noah Sharp clutched up, even if he didn't play well the rest of the game. And his bad play in the previous 3 weeks probably hurt our season, but we've unlocked the archetype. This is big since we can't spend any points in recruiter. The first thing that we're going to do is make sure that we get limitless for the quarterback position. And then we did the same for our offensive line and our defensive backs. But before we can get it for these other positions, we're going to have to earn more coach points. It costs 16 just for each one of these. 4 more pairings is going to cost us 64 total coach points, so 57 more, and we finished 3rd in the Mountain West for the 2nd season in a row. I should have never started talking about how easy it was for us, though Noah Sharp has thrown the most passing touchdowns we've seen out of a quarterback yet, and he's only a freshman. I feel like that's pretty exciting. Also, rushing-wise, Terrence Logan was a little bit better than Jonathan Woodside. Then on the receiving side of things, we had 2 standout guys. The guy that got more targets, though, was Lamar Stovall, the freshman, and then Taj Murphy had more touchdowns. To my surprise, someone from Louisiana Tech won the Heisman Trophy, and it looks like our bowl game is going to be against UCF. Another Big 12 team in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. We didn't win it last season, and considering the teams that beat us this year, we're probably not going to win it again. However, I love that this team is proving me wrong. They're on a 3rd and 16 with a minute left, down by 8. And although I didn't think of this game as much of a big deal, this would be our first bowl win at the FBS level. All we have to do is get the interception right here. There is nothing that UCF can do to come back. Why is somebody numbered 98 back there in coverage, though? Jamin Jones felt a little bit too slow to be dropping all the way back there. At least we got the win, though. That's big. But I think something that helped with that was switching our team playbook over from pistol to run and shoot beforehand. What I have found is pistol is the best playbook for running back sim stats in this game, but that's about it. I want to be making the playoffs like San Jose State did from our conference. And I wish I could see previous weeks of the top 25 poll, because there's no way they made the playoffs as an unranked team. As I'm looking at all the players leaving for graduation, though, I cannot believe what I am seeing. Jonathan Woodside wants to transfer because of pro potential. He says we have a D+. Buddy, we put a player into the NFL at your position like a year ago. He's staying. Okay, we're good. I don't know if he somehow heard me through the screen, but it worked. We have him back. I'm hoping that his power stats improve. And since we got 20 coach points for winning a bowl game, I ended up spending more points in the archetype, including at the running back position. He might have some more competition than he's thinking, though. We just brought in 3-star Jim Dalton Beaver. And with it being official that we have signed all 10 of these 3-star Jims, there's no one else I can go after besides 1 and 2 stars. That's actually going to limit us more than I would have liked in the transfer portal period. There are so many linemen that are always interested in transferring here. But that's definitely not a bad thing for our style of play, and even these freshman 2-star transfers could end up making a big impact. There is always a few schools that beat us out for these transfers though. We're never able to shoot 100% with them. But it's okay, this small class is still my favorite one that we've pulled in. We have an elite dev cornerback. That's the first elite dev we've seen throughout this entire video, and I want to see star dev 2 on Daryl Johns, a receiver. We even got it on tight end Cole Larson, who we need to block well for us and also catch the ball well. And it does not matter to me at all that the recruiting class rankings think this class is below the top 100. I still feel like we're building in the right direction. I mean, we have teams in our conference that are signing horrible recruiting classes, but they're still making the playoffs, being ranked in the top 25. And I think we're going to look at these players a little bit differently in 4 years once they've had some time to develop. I really hope they can be better than just 3-star recruits. We have to figure out what to do with these quarterbacks though. They don't necessarily play anything else well. But at least we got lucky with Clay Deloach. He will go to wide receiver, and I just have to hope he does decent. Well, when it comes to our training results, Jonathan Woodside is our best player, but I'm not getting too excited about this because without tactician boost, these players are probably like 82 overalls. For example, it really depends on what their actual stats are. Dom Easter is a 79 before he gets that tactician boost. Noah Sharp is a 76. And if you look at their actual stats, like Dom Easter only has 72 deep accuracy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that we have coordinators that are pretty much maxed out in both the motivator and tactician side of things. And if I poured more coach points into some of these other positions, we could even raise that more, but instead I like to go down this architect tree. I think this is going to be super beneficial for us. I also think I want to get tier 3, can't stop, won't stop, earn an XP bonus for every 3-game win streak. I feel like we're going to get a lot of those with our conference in the future, so we're going to get it for all the offensive stuff besides receivers since we don't use them. It is also probably time that we start to fill up some of the tactician stuff just so those stats on defense can get better. But I really like the type of coach build we're going for right now. It is so balanced besides all of it being on the right side. This season, whenever it comes to recruiting, I'm going to do the same strategy as last year. I think we can rely on getting 4 to 5 2-stars in the transfer portal on top of like 10 3-star gyms. And without Nebraska on our schedule, this feels like a cakewalk, though we did lose to Colorado State and an FCS school last year. All that I'm saying is we better not do that to start this season. And if our sophomore receiver's going for 170 yards, 2 touchdowns, we must be having some success. Not only did we beat an FCS school by 35 points, but then we took down Nevada by 21. And I love to see that Noah Sharp's performing at this level, but I think our rushing attack's going to take a little bit of a hit. As long as we're winning more games though, that is okay with me. Looking at some of the gyms we're going after, I'm a bit worried about this right outside linebacker. Michigan State's making great progress on catching up. And I can't say I'm too excited about either of the running back options. This guy's an 86 speedster, this guy's an 88 speedster, and they're both the tendency of receiving back, which isn't that great. They're 3-star gyms though. It's the best that we're going to be able to find and recruit. We have a couple other defensive athletes, and then this quarterback that only has 86 throw power, but 91 speed. That's how the board's looking so far. When it comes to our next game, it's at 4-0 Hawaii. I feel like we've got to go travel there because not only is it a great spot to go, but losing this game would drastically affect where we're sitting in our conference standings. Now, for whatever reason, EA has them playing in a massive generic stadium on this game, but especially since it's not close to full, they should have put some fake crowd noise in here. We're just curb stomping them. It is already 21-0. And the longer this goes on for, the better I'm feeling about the rest of the year for us. I didn't know what to expect hopping into this game. We beat them 45-7. I thought they were going to give us a competitive matchup, and instead we just completely dominated. If we can also play this well against Colorado State, I'm going to assume this will be our best season. And considering we only scored 17 points, that would normally be a pretty big problem, but they only put up 3. Just looking at our upcoming schedule, I think we're going to sim through most of the middle part of the season. Maybe playing on the road at Wyoming will be one we hop into, maybe San Jose State. They're normally at the top of the conference, but it's probably too early to tell where everybody will be sitting, and we destroyed both Hawaii and Nevada. We've already been doing pretty well in Mountain West play, but this is our chance to take it a farther step forward. And to be honest, we were just coasting until we lost to Air Force by 2 points. Even though Jonathan Woodside ran the ball pretty well, averaging over 10 yards per carry, it was the worst game we've seen out of Noah Sharp so far, and they just edged us out by 2. Now with the ability to still hop into 2 more matchups, I have to think long and hard about what I want to play. Sam Houston's non-conference won't matter too much, but I think we're going to take on New Mexico and South Dakota State. And what that means is we're going to have to win on the road at Wyoming, but they already have 3 Mountain West losses. I've stopped taking team overall into as much of a consideration, but I probably should have. They beat us by 3. And the one team above us in the conference standings is Hawaii. We destroyed them, so we should be able to beat New Mexico and South Dakota State to replay them in the conference championship. championship. But it's not going to be as easy of a path there as I would have liked, and also taking a look at our recruiting board, we have plenty of 3-star gyms. It's just the fact that we lost out on the linebacker to Michigan State. That's pretty frustrating, but I'm hoping that we can get some 2-star transfers to make up for it once we get to the transfer portal. And our losing streak is never ending. We just lost our 3rd straight game by 3 points or less. Sam Houston beats us by 3. I hate to see stuff like that, but it doesn't affect where we're sitting in the Mountain West. So a loss to New Mexico definitely would, so that's why we need to pick up this 3rd and 11. A little bit unfortunate that we were short right there. This punt also looks like it was going to be pretty rough, but if it takes the right bounce, that's all right. And here we go, 17 all, 3rd and 5. They're hitting us with the halfback screen. I was able to mess him up. That was an incredible user play. Their punt also didn't pin us back too far. This throw needs to be on the money. And Noah Sharp delivered, so now we're in business. We're pretty much just going to run out the rest of the clock, even if Jonathan Woodside has taken a beating in this game. I honestly can't believe that we haven't put the backup in, that he is still out there on the field getting good yards. But considering their use of timeouts, we might have done too much a little bit too soon. No matter what happens here, they're going to get a chance to get the ball back. I almost don't want to put it in, but I hate that we ended up on this hash mark because the close kicks from here are always so difficult to make, though this one's in. Now it is field goal or bust. As long as we don't give up some huge passing plays, we're going to be okay. I almost gave up that deep post, and I'm so lucky their quarterback didn't see it. Instead, he's just thrown it out of bounds. He didn't even give himself a chance to make a read on that last one. This is it right here. They're throwing it straight at us. We're getting the pick. And that's how we close out a very important conference game. All of our corners played extremely well. And taking another look at the conference standings, we just can't afford to lose to San Jose State this week, who's at the bottom of our conference. They are clearly struggling far more than I thought they would this season. And with a 31-14 win, we got exactly what I wanted. Here's the thing though, South Dakota State could still spoil our season. And with that in mind, we haven't been playing just to beat them, but to completely annihilate them. This game has been over for a while now. Even if they do get a sack on this down, we are going to be up 27-0 in the 4th quarter. Never mind, 24-0, I missed, which technically opens up the door for them to have a 3-possession comeback, but it's just not going to happen. They've been atrocious. Here we go, 4th and 19. If they don't pick this up, this one is over. They're throwing it straight at us again. We're not going to make the mistake twice of not catching the interception, and this is where we could make the score look even worse. I don't know what they got going on down there, but they have got to make sure that next season their offense doesn't perform that terribly. And this is another game where we had a blow-up wide receiver. All of a sudden, not only are we in the Mountain West Conference Championship, but we're ranked inside the top 25 at number 19. And that's coming up from being not ranked the week before. Look at some of these poll drops. We have number 3 Florida State fallen all the way to number 22, number 5 Wisconsin all the way down to number 23. And I think that's because at the top of the polls, you have teams like 8-4 Georgia that are in for a playoff spot. Just looking around college football, if one of these teams don't win their conference championship that's favored, we are going to be in, assuming we beat Hawaii. And I was never expecting us to have that much on the line in season number 5. We have 3 losses. This isn't exactly the most impressive of seasons that we could have had. We're fighting all the way in for a touchdown with Woodside, and that's what I was expecting out of him whenever we first got him to sign. From there, it's just continued to go downhill for Hawaii. I can't say I'm surprised, because this is the team that we walked into their home stadium and just embarrassed them while being on vacation. I do think when we look at the season stats though, Jonathan Woodside is going to be a bit of a letdown, and that's just based off of some of the passing numbers that I've been seeing. We'll find that out in a second though. We beat Hawaii worse the second time than we did the first time. I mean, this was just a blowout. And Noah Sharp's 4 touchdowns and over 400 passing yards is going unnoticed. I breezed right by it because I want to focus in on our rushing attack still. But if we're going to win a lot of Mountain West titles, we might need to lean more into the passing game. It clearly paid off for us this season. Noah Sharp threw for over 1,000 more yards. He also had more passing touchdowns. While on the rushing side of things, we actually did very well. Jonathan Woodside, 20 rushing touchdowns, over 1,000 yards. Noah Sharp had 400 yards himself. And the run and shoot playbook might be my favorite. We also had 2 receivers doing pretty well. They both put up 10 touchdowns. They are going to come close to 1,000 receiving yards. And George has done nothing for us at 6'5" since we recruited him in the first season, but this was his first year making a difference. The real moment of truth though, did we make it to a playoff game? We did, against number 4 Alabama. And I could not think of a worse setup for us. If we somehow beat them, then we'd have to play Kansas State. After that, probably Tennessee or Georgia, which I highly doubt would go well. But taking a look at the conference championship results, Fresno State beat Boise State. They just didn't get an automatic bid. Apparently not just this game, but the NCAA as well won't recognize the Pac-12 as a real conference for an automatic bid if they only have 7 teams like they do right now, so they have to find another. And that's the only reason we even have an opportunity to play Alabama here in the first place. If there's any position that's going to need some help though, it is probably our defensive line, so I'm going to max out tactician just so they can hopefully generate a little bit of pass pass rush. And ideally, we just don't get blown out by the Crimson Tide. I completely disregarded the fact that this will also be at Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're having to play on the road. And look who is out there on the field. It's not our star quarterback, it's Ben Easter. You can never say that we're lucky because Noah Sharp got hurt in the first quarter. He's going to be out for the rest of the game. And Ben Easter's going to have to help us overcome a 2-point deficit on 3rd and 7. We're not getting it. I don't really like our odds of making this field goal kick either, but we're going for it. And look at this. I'm a perfect field goal kicker every so often. We are also going to end the first half with another one. It sneaks in. And then we got 2 more in the 3rd quarter, but the problem is we just haven't finished off these drives, even though we're moving it, and that's a great pass. Who would have thought that Dom Easter could step up against Alabama like this? And I'm afraid that running the ball is not going to be our answer. Maybe passing isn't either. It looks like this drive is going to end with us attempting another field goal. I don't want to force it into an interception. And I feel like I've set us up pretty nicely, but we have to hit another fast meter, and this one is going to just get in there. Now, I can confirm the upgrades we did to our defensive line have made a huge difference. We could get them off the field right here. But are we going to be able to score a touchdown, or are we about to kick our 7th field goal? I'm really hoping that is not the case. We have to get in range in the first place, though. Right here, I am going to run, see what we can get. And this might be the wrong play call, but we're going to feed it to our best running back and let him truck forward. There's just about 2 minutes left on the clock now. We're going to try to throw it to our slant. We hang on with Stovall. And what a moment this would be for North Dakota State if we somehow pulled this off. I really don't mind the spot that we're at on the field. It's just whether or not we can actually have success. And we've been down to this point so many times. We just haven't gotten our touchdown yet, though right here, blocks are looking good. Now, here's the thing. We don't want to leave the Crimson Tide too much time on the clock. We're going to have the hole. We're going to get there. And we just took down Alabama in the first round of the playoffs in their stadium. This team is far better than I ever thought it would be. Just don't get this catch right here. And we're about to see what type of run we can go on with North Dakota State. I mean, I think I can assume that Kansas State's not going to be as hard of an opponent. And I'm not sure how Minnesota did it, but they were able to take down Georgia. All the success that we're having, though, is going to come with some cost. As you can see, higher staff has popped up, which means one of our coordinators was poached. It was our defensive coordinator. And that's unfortunate because they were both becoming so good that they're even expanding into the recruiting tree despite me not wanting them to. Now we have to hire from this batch of guys, and I think we got to go with the dude that has tactician pretty much filled out. But it's a shame that now next year our defense might not be as good. Anytime that we have success with North Dakota State, though, we're going to lose our coaches. And at the moment, it's looking like this underdog run might not end in the quarterfinals. Dom Easter has somehow led this team to not only win over Alabama, but potentially Kansas State too. And you got to keep in mind, the backup quarterback is a senior. This is his final chance to do something. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of this play call on 4th and 2, but I don't want to have to kick a field goal from the marker, so we've gone with the toss. We didn't have the speed. But it turns out it didn't hurt us too much. We are still in this game as we approach the final couple minutes, down by 7. And if we can just go the length of the field, we would win this one. We're able to hit our drag, and George just doesn't have the speed to turn up field fast. The pressure is going to be on us to end the game with the touchdown, just like last week. The bounce to the outside from Jonathan Woodside's perfect. And I can't believe that even after all this success, he is considering transferring again. We might have a touchdown up the seam, though. That ball is placed perfectly. Now, I was considering going for the 2-point conversion if we scored with a little bit less time, but it simply wouldn't have made sense to do it there. And we're going to get the lurk. We're going to pick off Kansas State. We have a chance to win this game. The defense is coming up clutch. That is why our defensive coordinator just got stolen. That's Arch Manning that threw the pick. Or maybe it's Kyrie Manning. I just took a look at this player's profile and he's black. That is not Arch. We are too far in this dynasty for it to be him now. I'm not sure why I even believed for a second it was. But look at that. Dom Easter is putting us in a good spot and Jonathan Woodside gets 8 more. It's going to come down to a field goal, but we're going to have a chance to move on to the semifinals. These runs are great. And what we're starting to see out of him is what I was expecting whenever he first transferred. Here we go though, spot in the semifinals on the line. That is moving way too slow for me to mess it up. And do you believe in miracles? North Dakota State has somehow moved on again with a backup. My expectations for the senior were set so low. But that's because up to this point in his career, and even up to his point during this season, he had only thrown for 11 passing yards before he stepped in versus Alabama and then Kansas State. What we are witnessing is a miracle, but we're going to need another one against number 1 Tennessee. And I'm just thankful that our offensive coordinator hasn't also been stolen yet. If we somehow take down Tennessee, it looks like we could play either Oregon or UAB in the championship. But if we win one this soon, we're going for 2 in this video, because I was not expecting that. I was looking forward to spending like 10 seasons at North Dakota State in this video. I feel like with the roster that we have, this is all a fluke. But there's just something about Dom Easter that's getting the people going, and we're down at the 1. That's a great spot to start the 4th quarter, especially especially since we have competed pretty well with Tennessee. But the one thing we haven't done well versus them is run the ball, and we need to do it to punch it in. I know that North Dakota State is known for winning a bunch of championships, but that's at the FCS level. And it doesn't seem to matter too much. They're acting like they're used to being here all the time. Tennessee responded back with a quick touchdown, and we're moving the ball down the field right back at them. But now it is 4th and 2. You know exactly who we're going to, who's going to hit that hole harder. Maybe we haven't run the ball well in the game up to this point, but we're starting to. And it feels like Jonathan Woodside is just starting to heat up, but they're all over the draw on 3rd down. I thought we were going to fool them. Instead, we're going to have to settle for a field goal. And at the moment, Tennessee is looking like they're about to get a touchdown again. We've been able to have game-winning drives. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if they scored, but holding them to 3 would be much better, and they just went up the middle. I thought they were going to go for the pass. Now we have ourselves a little bit of time to do the same to them. I see nobody open, and at least they're saying that Dom Easter got the first down there. It stopped the clock for a little bit, allowed us to regroup, and we have it, but we're going to fumble it. We're scooping it up, and I felt like I had to use my first timeout. Hang on. After their touchdown, Tennessee missed their extra point, so we win with one ourselves. And why did I just realize that after getting on a 2nd and 27? It's going to be so hard to convert, but this is a good start. We're getting out of bounds. We really just need some man-to-man coverage on this play, and then we can take advantage of the zones there. But that was kind of silly to think that we were going to get enough time back there in the pocket. We have an open receiver. It's going to be a bad throw. Dom Easter, after all he did for us, just sold ourselves a spot in the championship. We could have run that one to like the 30-yard line. I can't even be upset at him though, because he played his heart out for us to get here. But at the end of the day, even if we didn't win the title, I think we've made a great statement with this season. Ever since we won the Mountain West in year number 2, it seems like things were slowly going down a downhill slope. We have just bounced back, had our best year yet. And Jonathan Woodside better not transfer out because of pro potential. I convinced him to stay last year. He isn't entering the portal this season. We're losing some good seniors though, including Dom Easter, of course. It's a shame that he never got a real chance. I didn't let him get it, and we're gonna convince this left outside linebacker to come back. Not really a huge deal, but it is good for depth. Looking at the transfer portal, lots of 2 stars for us to target, but if there's any 3 stars I want, I'm gonna have to remove somebody from our board. See, here's the thing. We've already signed 7 of these 3-star gyms. I can get up to 10, but we haven't gotten these receivers or this corner yet, so we could remove them and then add a transfer. It's gonna be really tempting to do if Cordell turns out to be as good at quarterback as I think he's gonna be. 84 speed, field general, and 93 throw power. I think that's better than the kid that we just recruited up here. What was his name? Paul Wren? I'm just trying to think towards the future right now, because we're only going to have Noah Sharp for a couple more years. After that, it's going to be Joey Moffitt filling in. And I hadn't taken a good look at his skill caps yet, but he's actually going to be all right. We don't need to find another quarterback. We do have just enough hours, though, to go after these 7 2-star transfers. We'll probably sign 3 or 4 of them. And I've set my expectations so low, because even with some of our school grades going up, we have a D+ academic prestige, we have D+ brand exposure. It makes sense for North Dakota State, but it's not going to get players to commit. I do all the visits, I do all the hard sells during this period, but it's just not a great conversion rate because we don't have anything down the recruiter skill tree. As long as I keep up this current recruiting strategy, we're going to keep on bringing in pretty small classes. But even if other teams are technically still out recruiting us in our conference, I know that we're going to be the best one with this strategy. We probably have about 60 decent guys in rotation. We found a halfback with elite development. Of course, it's the one with 88 speed, not 86. And the star devs have also started to pop up for us. This is exactly what I've been hoping for throughout this entire video. Our depth might not be the best in the world, but we're sure doing something right. Eric Haslam's gone all the way up to a 94 right end. We're going to have him for 2 years at halfback. Jonathan Woodside, 92 as a senior. And then on the quarterback side of things, of course, without tactician boost, these guys are only an 81, but on paper, they're now an 87. There is a reason that even though I'm loving the stuff we're doing in this architect tree, it's probably more important that we max out our tactician stuff first, especially our wide receivers, since we're starting to throw the ball a little bit more too. We just saw what a really good defense could do for us. Now we're about to see what a good offense could do for us, though. This season, we have to find 4 halfbacks to replace everybody else. And I didn't realize that in making athlete freshman Caleb Harvey a defensive player instead of on offense, we only have 2 freshmen in this running back room after these 3 graduate. Now, I'm not forgetting that Chauncey's coming in with his elite development and pretty much no skill caps at all. His quickness can even improve. But even with that in mind, I refuse for this team to be a one-man show, so we're going to find some more options at the running back position. You never know when injuries are going to pop up. I will say, I found 3 guys that are gyms. They are all pretty good, but the best one, my favorite, is Trent McMichael. This kid has 94 speed. You pair that with 81 trucking as a freshman, and assuming that goes up, we could have another Jonathan Woodside on our hands, which would be just incredible. I'm expecting him to play pretty well versus this FCS school. Even if we're annihilating them, we will play one every season. I understand our roots. Minnesota is our next opponent, though. They're the #1 team in the country, and then after that, that, we have a pretty easy schedule. Now, my only assumption with why Minnesota's ranked number 1 in the AP poll is some of the voters must have been getting some Fox Sports treatment over there because Oregon won the national championship. So somebody that graduated from Minnesota must have pulled some strings, but we have a chance to ruin their number 1 spot. I will give them some credit though. We have not scored a single point in this first half. We're taking a sack. And I'm an idiot. With no timeouts, I just hurried it up out of pure panic. We needed to get a field goal out of this. Now we're about to get no points. So that was some bad clock management, but you might notice CJ Gladney's out there on the field, our backup. Last week against an FCS school, Jonathan Woodside broke his collarbone. He's going to be out for 5 weeks. And that is clearly severely hindering how good our offense can do. I mean, it took us until the third quarter to get onto the board. We're going to pick up this 3rd and 7. And that's the type of stuff that Noah Sharp needs to be doing a little bit more. We're throwing this ball up, they knock it out. If that was a one-on-one scenario, it probably would have been a little bit better of a look. And CJ Gladney looks like he's going to have a massive hole right here, but we miss. Running with him just doesn't feel the same. I'm not able to run over everybody. Thankfully, we're cutting up for the first down. And even though we have performed terribly offensively in this game, we are still in it. Picking up this 2-point conversion would make me feel a little bit better, though. That's what we can do with Sharp. And this is the hardest game on our schedule. We win this, our season outlook's looking pretty good. We're getting the interception with Didline, and Didline is going to go to the 25. We have put ourselves in an incredible spot. With this handoff, we're able to go with CJ Gladney all the way to the 5. And it took us a little bit, but backup running back or not, we are able to take a lead. This is all against the supposed number 1 team in the country. But I have a feeling that by the time we get to the end of the year, they're not going to be ranked there. That was a great 3rd down play. I wish we could just get them off the field. They went with a halfback draw on their next 3rd down. And here we go, 4th and 8. Of course, they're going to be throwing it right here, and they're going to try to find that little gap. I swear, I don't know if every computer playbook has that in it somehow, but they always run it against me. And you all know how much I love cover 4 quarters. It's like the only thing that really beats it. At least we now have them in a 3rd and goal, though. A couple slants out there on the field. They're going to go all the way to the 3. And I don't think they'd run the ball in this situation. They're throwing it, but we have somebody open. We can't let them make a catch like that, though our response might happen quickly. And that's because we just got a massive gain right there. Man-to-man coverage. We should be able to get another. We also still have all 3 of our timeouts. We're going to hurry it up. We're going to take advantage of that mismatch. And what is up with our quarterbacks not making the clutch throws when we need them to? We're going to have to go to running the ball on the ground instead. I would have done it on 3rd and 1 too, but they've come out a little bit aggressively right here and rolling out. This is a bad decision. I can't believe I was about to let that one fly to the end zone. We should pick up the 1st down, center up for a field goal, even though it was 4th and 1. And the real reason I went for that instead of kicking there is I still think this team could get into the end zone. We're going to throw, and we're going to make the catch. That's our best receiver right there. Stovall came back for the football. And Lamar Stovall is the reason we just took down the number 1 team in the country. What a pass from Noah Sharp as well. He put it over to his back shoulder. And our final non-conference game is going to be against 0-3 San Diego State on the road. Judging by the fact that our left end has won National Defensive Player of the Week with 3 sacks, we should have won. But it took us putting up 48 points in order to take them down. Even though we threw 2 interceptions, Noah Sharp carried us throughout this game. He also had almost 100 rushing yards. And we're still going to be without Jonathan Woodside for 3 more weeks. Now, in that time span, there is going to be a bye week, so there's just 2 more games that we're going to have to sim without him. And I can tell you right now, if Eric Haslam's getting 5 sacks, we're not losing to San Jose State. In fact, we took them down 27-9. And it seems like everything's going great for us, but it could still go downhill. There's a lot of decent teams in the Mountain West this year. We have New Mexico at 4-1, Northern Illinois at 4-0, and Wyoming at 3-1, who we're all going to have to face at some point, and I think we should hop into this one at New Mexico. My goal with this team this season is not to get us a national championship. I would much rather us just make the playoffs consistently, make it a habit, and then we can build from there. But in order to do so, we cannot have a performance like this against New Mexico. Nothing's gone right. Our defense has consistently let them get to spots where they're able to put up points, and we have just failed as an offense. If we don't pick up this 4th and 6, the game is going to be completely over. I don't know how Noah Sharp's still going, but a 27-point comeback is going to be very, very hard to pull off, and I'm just going to start throwing it up to our best receiver. I mean, they've been able to press Lamar Stovall most of the game, no matter where we put the ball, and even break it up. It's not happening here, though. And there we go. I have found our solution. Why is he that open? We'll take the tutty. I have to go for it. I always try to pull off the comebacks, but this one is going to take a level of play that is practically perfect, and we just didn't have another zone out there to guard that route. I'm starting to think that maybe press man-to-man is going to work for us on 3rd down. They're going to pick it up again. They're still going, and we might have eventually held them to a field goal, but they took way too much time off the clock to the point where there's no point in even trying to come back, though we complete that pass. If I've learned anything, we have somebody that we should just be throwing the ball up to the rest of the season. We could get the onside kick and still have a chance, but we are talking about some of the slimmest odds ever, and we also have to get this 2-point conversion for that to happen. We're running around with Sharp like he's Johnny Manziel. All right, here Here we go. We need this onside kick to go well for us. They're not going to touch it in time. There's going to be a flag. And fair play to New Mexico, giving us our first loss of the year. Alex Boyett put them off to way too hot of a start that we couldn't overcome. And looking at the rest of our schedule, if there's any game I should play, it is probably this one at Wyoming. I feel like we always lose whenever I don't step in versus them. They're also at the top of the Mountain West alone, undefeated in conference play, which means I have a chance to redeem myself against the Cowboys. Now keep in mind, our star senior running back is returning for this matchup, and that alone has been enough motivation to carry this team to a 17-2 lead in the fourth quarter. That is right, the Cowboys' only points have come whenever we let them get a safety against us. We were being generous. And Jonathan Woodside is literally going to carry this team into the end zone on this drive. He threw him off of him. I wish he could just stay with us for the rest of the rebuild now that he's actually playing well. And here's a rare occurrence of Wyoming's offense being able to make it past midfield. They should have thrown us a pick. As you can see, we have pretty much already sealed this one. We're just going to keep on running the football against them. And this was the type of road win that we needed after giving up so many points to New Mexico just a week ago. One of those teams had a working offense, the other one didn't. But since I've already hopped into 3 games, the Minnesota one, the one against New Mexico, and the one against Wyoming, I have to simulate the second half of the season, the entire thing. And I can't guarantee that by the time that's over, we're still going to be inside the top 25. My hope is we'll at least be competing for a Mountain West Conference championship again. And I've handled everything that I can in recruiting. I found a couple safeties that are gems alongside 5 linemen. That's going to make a big difference for us. And then these 3 running backs, where you already know we're having plenty of success because we've been able to get them to commit so soon. It is time for the moment of truth though. How is North Dakota State going to do in the second half of the year without me being able to do anything to help them out? The goal was to build a good enough roster to where we can win these matchups. Against South Dakota State, Noah Sharp went for 5 touchdowns, 442 passing yards. And we're also getting this pop-up where we are playing Hawaii in the conference championship again. We're number 7 in the country. Well, look at that. We beat Air Force 49-3, 58 points against NIU. I mean, we just steamrolled pretty much everybody besides Hawaii and UNLV on the road. And I had to check because I figured Noah Sharp could be up here in the Heisman race. He is right behind Auburn's quarterback. I'm impressed. It took them until 2030, but they finally found a quarterback. They're doing well in the SEC. And then for our conference standings, everybody else just beat up on each other after we started simming. I mean, this is crazy for the next lowest team to have 3 losses. Just making sure as well, from the looks of it, we are going to sign every single one of these 3 stars that we pursued. And it's time to see whether or not we can win the Heisman Trophy with an offense that's averaging 36 points per game. Of course, winning is more important than anything else, but I would also like Noah Sharp to get a lot of touchdowns. And I might just throw this one up to Stovall on 3rd down. I mean, he's going to beat the press. That was the easiest pass ever. You know who hasn't made things easy for us though? Our defense. We find ourselves down 31-14 in the 4th quarter. Noah Sharp has 2 interceptions. No, those are not on me. I did not throw those interceptions, but it means he's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. And this team is clearly still not good enough to perform pretty well in sim. The same thing happened against New Mexico. I like to trust the rosters I build to have some success in it, but instead they've set me up to have to come back down by 17. I will give them some credit though. They got a couple sacks to make this a 3rd and 25. There's simply no way they convert. And I'm starting to get too impatient with running the ball for 2 yards every time. We need to pass it and wait a touchdown. I'm literally going to flip that concept to the other side of the field and see if they can adjust. You cannot give us the room to throw it up to even Wiseman. He breaks the tackle too. I didn't exactly look to see if he was open or not. I thought it was going to be Lamar Stovall, that he was just going to break free no matter what. But me making blind reads is not new news for the channel. I do it all the time. Here we go. 3rd and 17 now. They are probably just going to take their check down and not get much. Yep, that's what they do. We make the tackle. And we no longer have to be as aggressive because all we have to do to at least send it to overtime is get a field goal. Now, clearly, we are going to go for more, but running the ball's working for us. And look who's open. Lamar Stovall. These corners can't even hold his jockstrap. I'm just hoping that if this score holds, we make the playoffs. He can do this against bigger schools. And on 3rd and 8, I have switched on to the corner. I did not want to do that. They had some people open. I thought I turned off switch stick on this game. It's just something that I'm not too great with using yet. Maybe eventually I'll get better. But I feel like I don't need it. I don't play this game competitively. I play this game to have a good time, to enjoy myself. No, I'm not enjoying myself right now. They're getting a touchdown. There's just no way that happens so consistently. He perfectly breaks the tackle. And this entire packed out Fargo Dome that is far larger than it would ever be is now relying on us to somehow get in field goal range. We have a little bit of a problem though. I see one-on-one coverage over there with our best receiver, and I'm going to throw it whether he can actually beat him deep or not. He does. However, we went down at the 1 yard line. I'm not sure how that happened. And you might think that was it for the game, that we'd be okay. But no, no, they have moved it down to the 39-yard line and they have a chance. I will admit, it's not a great chance, but they could pull it off. They are not going to get it. And the fact that there is still 1 second left on the clock just makes me sick, but that throw is going to go well out of the back of the end zone. There you have it. We've won our 3rd Mountain West Conference championship in this video. We have now won back-to-back conference championships too. And we might even be able to go for the three-peat with Noah Sharp coming back as a senior. He's really turned out to be the answer for this program with Jonathan Whiteside too. And I can see why Noah Sharp was in the Heisman race, because if it wasn't for those 2 interceptions, he would have had 37 touchdowns and just 2 picks. On the running side of things, we know that Jonathan Woodside would have had a better season if he didn't get injured. Noah Sharp carried though with 6 rushing touchdowns, and also CJ Gladney got a little bit of action. Then when it comes to Lamar Stovall, I'm hoping he comes back for his senior season. I mean, 14 touchdowns over 1,200 yards is incredible. But we are experiencing some pretty key injuries. Avery Lehman, one of our better receivers, is injured. We're also missing our 2nd best defensive lineman, which is just extremely unfortunate, but there it is. The Heisman Trophy goes to Auburn's QB. His stats weren't better, but we play in a much weaker conference. Our playoff draw gives us a 1st round bye to play the winner of Purdue and Florida. And here on early National Signing Day, I want to see the dev traits of these running backs, especially Trent McMichael. He's going to be impact, but we do get star on at least one of them. Besides that, every other player was impact besides this safety, who will probably become my user with 94 speed. And it looks like we are going to get Purdue in the next round. I'm really surprised they're ranked number 3 in the country, but looking at every other team that's in the playoffs, this is the easiest opponent we could have got. And it would be a disservice to North Dakota State fans if we lost this one to the Boilermakers, though they are averaging 39 points per game. Consistent semifinal playoff appearances is what we're trying to shoot for. And that's because this roster is still not where I want it to be, because we have a lot of work to do. As good as a couple of these players are, we just don't have the depth needed to compete long-term against big programs. And that's why we found ourselves down by 10, but we're starting to make up for it a little bit there. We would also force an interception that has put us in some really good field positioning. All we have to do from this point is settle for a field goal to send it to OT. But you know that we're going to shoot for a last-second touchdown, and we're going to see if Stovall has any stick on it. Just 17 more yards now. Good blocks right here. Jonathan Woodside goes for a ton. And I don't think we're going to have a chance to chew off much clock. Eventually, they would start taking timeouts. I feel like the formula is simple. He needs to get the ball more than he does. And we can keep that in mind for the next round. If we're able to close this one out versus Purdue, they're making that catch. Now, they are going to instant replay to review it. It wasn't called a catch on the field. I'm so glad the post just got in the way of that instant replay right there. That'll be another minor fix I'll add to the list of things I want to see in college football 26. I always get faked out by that route, but they just scrambled instead. Now they literally just need 10 more yards, though we can get a field goal and respond back, assuming they do get into the end zone. And take a look at that play right there. They thought they were about to scramble. Instead, they're just throwing it for like 5, 6, 7, which still puts them in a spot that I really don't want them to be in, but that's a bad pass. All right, this is the game right here. 4th and goal. They're throwing it on the run. They're short. And as long as we don't lose 2 yards on this play, this one is over. But Jonathan Woodside is going for more. I am really debating switching up our playbook going into the next round so he can get more carries, going out of the pistol like we did at the start of this rebuild. Because I feel like if we gave him 30 touches instead of 15, it wouldn't have been close. We're going to find out whether or not that's the right decision. It's going to be hard to run the ball against Michigan, but I think we'll do better that way instead of airing it out. It's a little bit of a gamble, but championship teams are able to take championship risks. And I'm shooting for a 200-yard, 3-touchdown performance out of Jonathan Woodside. That hasn't really happened so far. On 3rd and 7, he's got nowhere to go. So we settled for a field goal, and we have the ball back with 56 seconds left in the first half to try and get more points. Now, that was cover 2 right there, but I was too impatient trying to get it to Lamar Stovall. We're going to do the same thing right here. He had the leverage. The ball just wasn't exactly put where it needs to be. On 3rd and 10, we're going to make the catch. Nope, it's dropped. That's the type of stuff that's made this game harder than it needs to be, but we also can't run. And look at this. We are just setting up to kick ourselves another field goal, still going to be down by 6. Our offense wasn't really broken. I tried to fix it. It was my mistake. On 3rd and 2, they are going to fall short, I think. And I don't like how much CJ Gladney's been out there on the field, but he does make for a nice change of pace. It is time for the 234-pounder, though. It's time to run over some players. And they are treating this kid like he's Ashton Genty, though we had the outside for a second. We'll cut back and still get the first. Jonathan Woodside is already down 5 speed due to wear and tear in this matchup, though. And I probably shouldn't be chewing the clock down as much as we are right now, considering we got to reach the end zone. That was a good little passing play right there, though, with their man-to-man coverage. We also could have the corner route if that is placed perfectly to the freshman. And look at our young tight end being able to haul that one in. The refs cannot even believe it to where they're reviewing the catch, but I thought it was clearly 2 feet down. And this extra point is going to put us up by 1. Now we have ourselves a little bit of an issue. Right now, Michigan's moving it well down the field. And I'm not sure whether or not they're in field goal range, but they're definitely close to it, and those drags are not helping us. They've hurried it up. They're continuing to throw the ball, even though they probably should be running it now that they're this close. They get a first down. I mean, look at that. We're lucky they're taking a timeout. But either way, from this point forward, I'm expecting the run. We're going to run commit, and I ran commit to the wrong side. That is never, ever a jet touch pass. Like, the computers run that motion maybe 50 times against me this year, and I've never seen that happen. But it is what it is. We'll just run commit up the middle on this play. The 2-point conversion isn't working out for them. And here's our chance to make up for what our defense just gave up. We need to have a good drive down the field. This ball is going to be placed right on the money, which makes me feel pretty good about Noah Sharp in these situations. Once again, he has got Gladney, and we're going to spin to the 20. Who would have thought North Dakota State could be moving the football like this, cover 2, and that might just be picked. You can't throw that to the short side of the field. I'm not sure what I was thinking. You know what side of the field I want to go over to, though. We almost caught it. Now, I will be looking for the drag on 3rd and 10 to make it a bit more manageable, but we literally never stood a chance at getting that ball out. We need a clean pocket right here, and no one was open. Time in the pocket turned out to not be the issue. Everybody was just swarmed, and these trick plays are going to win them the game. We had 3 timeouts, but we're not going to be able to stop them now. Too much motion was going on. We are going to fall to Michigan by 5 points. It's another semifinal loss. But at least on the bright side, we didn't lose either of our coordinators. And as far as I'm concerned, we just lost to the eventual national champion. There is no shame in that. I think we've come a lot farther than anybody expected out of North Dakota State in just 6 seasons. And as we continue to elevate our program, putting players onto the NFL like Jonathan Woodside and Don Duke, who's projected to be a first-round pick, our middle linebacker, we're going to be just fine. I will point out, though, that after transferring in from Boston College, Woodside's best season was as a junior because he didn't have any injury problems. But even with a little bit of a disappointing senior year, he did plenty for us, and that 4th-round pick is well-deserved. I really feel like Trent McMichael could be a second version of him, too. With the 94 speed, he weighs 228 pounds, so we need to put a few more into him. But he can get just as big, and looking at some of our transfer portal options, it seems like this season it's just going to be a bunch of 2 stars. It took another year of having playoff success, but our team prestige jumped up to 3.5 stars from 2 stars. And what that means is we have over 1,000 hours to spend in the offseason, so we are literally going after like 20 of these freshman transfers. Whenever you cast a net that wide, you're bound to catch at least something. And I might have caught a little bit more than I was planning on. This is the most successful I have ever been whenever it comes to signing 2-star transfers. We still lost out on 5 battles, but that was it. And not all of them are going to be good, but there's going to be some diamonds in the rough, like this kid, Elite Dev, is a 2-star. If I'm thinking of things correctly, this should be our highest rated recruiting class yet, but it is not. It's going to still be down far. Where are we at? 114? That makes no sense. The influx of 2-stars should not be bringing our class rating down because they end up being the highest rated players in the class. They're ranked above the 3-stars, as you can see. These 2-star freshmen are just as good or even better than 2-star recruits because they're going to come in around the same overall as the 3-stars we just recruited. And I'll tell you what, going into next season, every single position on this team looks so good besides running back. We don't know how these guys are going to progress, so what we need to do is we need to take senior Chance Hendricks and move him over to running back. That would have been a smart decision, making Chance Hendricks the starter, if our freshman running back didn't shoot up to an 87 overall already. And taking a look at the entire roster, I think this one is slightly better than last year's. We still have 40 coach points to spend, so what we can do is we can finally max out this tactician tree, and that'll allow us to spend our remaining coach points doing stuff in the architect one. And basically from here on out over there, all I want to do is make sure our wide receivers get to tier number 2, and then we get to tier number 3 with everything else, since we're going to go on a lot of 3-game winning streaks. Our team overall would also be a lot higher if we didn't have all these young freshmen dragging it down that we just recruited, but we do have to get rid of some players or else we're going to be over the limit. It wasn't too difficult to get rid of some seniors though. This was our biggest class at one point, and now it's actually tied for our smallest one. Now, I don't want to look too far ahead, but when it comes to our actual schedule, I don't think we're going to have any issues making it back to the playoffs for a 3rd year in a row. And I was hoping as a senior quarterback, Noah Sharp would have gotten a little bit better than he is, but he's still far exceeded the expectations he had as a 3-star. When it comes to our first couple games, I think it makes sense for us to just simulate them. And from the looks of it, we had zero issues getting these 2 wins. But going on the road at number 7 Nebraska is probably going to be a bit more difficult for us to win. Every so often, the Cornhuskers pop up on our schedule, and it seems like every time that they do, they're having a great year. But we've had more success than them recently, so I feel like if anything, we're the team that should be a threat. Now, you might notice, Carl Denny is out there on the field. That is right. We have a backup quarterback helping us take down a top team again. But there's not much we can do about Noah Sharp being out for the next few weeks, and we're also missing our best safety. We have built this roster so we can depend on the backups to shine whenever we need them to. On 3rd and 17, they're also not going to pick it up unless they come closer. And with more stops like that throughout this second half, it really feels like we have complete control of the game. Now, I will admit, running the ball is no longer as easy as it was for us last season, though we can scramble for the first down right here. Denny's going to go all the way to the crib. I never imagined that he'd be the quarterback to do stuff like this. And my main takeaway from this game is if we're doing stuff like this with a backup quarterback, we're going to be a problem. That was the hardest game on our schedule unless some team in the Mountain West just has a really good season, so we should be able to go undefeated. And it even makes me wonder if we're missing out by not having Carl Denny out there on the field. This might seem like a little bit of a weird move, but we are going to redshirt Noah Sharp as a senior so he can come back and play next year when he's more healthy. I've taken a look at the stats, and Carl Denny actually has better accuracy stats than he does, so he needs another year to develop anyway. And I could be crazy for putting our best roster in school history in the hands of a backup quarterback, but we're about to find out. 84 overall team on the road. I'm not going to make the mistake of simming this year, but what I am realizing is we might not be as good as I'm thinking. Sure, it has felt like we've dominated this game, and we're probably not going to lose. I mean, this throw right here is on the money, but we just haven't been able to put up as many points like we did versus Nebraska, and I wonder if it's because they have film on Carl Denny. I mean, I think that's a pass that we complete with our other quarterback, but it is what it is. We're still about to get in. And at the end of the day, we're going to beat what could be the second best team in our conference by 25 points on the road. That is still a good result. Time will tell if we're making the right decision with this kid. And on the other side of this bye week, if there's any game that I want to hop into for my final one this year, it's got to be at undefeated UNLV. I've already basically taken care of our recruiting. We're going to sign these 6 prospects. I'm not worried about losing them. And I'm not really too excited about any of the 3 stars, but there's a couple gym receivers and quarterbacks in here. The important part is how we do in the next few weeks. And what is Noah Sharp doing winning player of the week? This kid just unredshirted himself. He's literally redshirted, but he came back from injury, said, "No, coach, you're not going to sit me out," and he has played in over 5 games, with the cutout for it to count being 4, so he just made himself the starter for the rest of the year. He forced his way into the lineup, and he isn't as good. I have no words. I've never seen anything like that before, but we are still doing well offensively. It would kind of make no sense to go back to our other quarterback now, especially since against New Mexico, he had 400 passing yards, 6 touchdowns, and he's the guy that's gotten us to 2 playoff appearances. I mean, either way, we should be headed back for our 3rd straight, assuming we take down UNLV next. But with all the switch up on our roster, there's no way we're going to have anybody in the Heisman race. As for recruiting, the reason I've gone for a smaller class of 3 stars, only 7 of them, is I think I can get a few good 3-star transfers. And let's just see how we do on the road at Allegiant Stadium, which is also where we technically play. We're just going to have to pretend that this is the non-Fargo Dome one. And don't tell me that I'm going to have to be bipolar about my quarterback decision again. I'm not sure Noah Sharp can remain our starter the rest of the year. Never mind, that was a great throw, but how have we only scored 3 points in 3 quarters? I find that unacceptable. It's going to be pretty difficult to come back in this game. On 3rd down, though, we are going to get that and more, which is nice to see out of this team, but you know what side of the field I'm looking over towards, and that's because they just don't have the coverage on Stovall. This kid is a monster, so much so that I'm going to trust him on a 4th and goal, which we shouldn't have been in the first place, but he held on. We will see where we're able to go with Sharp. It looks like we're just going to have to force it right in there. And if you thought that was bad, it was much worse that UNLV would then score immediately after, and I'm throwing it straight to him. We're about to lose our first game of the season. I probably should have never gone back to Sharp, but he made himself when I simmed, and we're fumbling. Was it valid in that situation? Absolutely, but I'm playing like I don't want to win. You know the stakes with 3 minutes left. You know exactly what I'm going to try to do. I've done this so many times. Bad throws. And maybe I should just be trying to run with Sharp instead, since he doesn't want to hit passes. He's so getting benched if we lose. I was excited for him to take a redshirt year and then to have him as a senior after he got a little bit better. I am going to test out his arm strength, though. We got to go for the tutty. And that's like the one thing that is going to keep him in the starting lineup. He's just a great talent. An injury timeout actually really helped us out right there, though I'm stuck on a lineman. They're going to pick up the first down, which means they are one step closer to winning this game. I think we're stacking the box pretty well, though, to stop the run. That cut up is going to dust us to the crib, and we basically have to just let them run it in. Carl Denny better get ready because he's going to be our starting quarterback next week. This is going to be a catch, and I'm not sure how much that helps us. We need to score a touchdown as fast as possible since we've already used one of our 3 timeouts. This ball is not where it needs to be, and we still catch it. These receivers are just bailing out sharp at the moment. We're going to roll out right here, see if we can throw anything. I probably had a touchdown there I was scared of. And look at Noah Sharp giving us a little bit of hope still. Luckily for us, this game is not over yet. This carry's going nowhere. And I don't like how spread out our run defense is at the moment. There was a hole for them to hit. All right, here we go. 3rd and 4. We couldn't run commit here. It's not going to matter. And can I pull off the comeback in 30 seconds? I mean, the punt's going to get it to us at midfield. What a fair catch. It feels like a missed opportunity, but I also see the coverage that they're coming out in. I liked the look right there. We got to throw this ball away. I'm hitting throw away. That is a choke right there just because I didn't want to throw it up to the same receiver again. I wanted to try to do something different. And there's no reason to do anything different here. It is time for the aggressive catch. End the game. What did we ever do to deserve Lamar Stovall? It is enough to make a grown man cry. This is the most proud I have been of a team throughout this entire cycle playing the game. Like, I expected this team to just focus on the run, but no, we need to be slinging the rock, and it needs to go in his direction 50 times. 226 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns, 7 catches. And I just realized we've never taken a good look at how great of a build this is. He's 6'5" with star dev. He has stuff like 97 release, 99 spectacular catch. No wonder he's bringing these in. He also is 98 jumping, so you pair that with 6'5", you know what you're going to get. His speed is only 91, but it doesn't matter when he catches all balls. Also, he has winning time, increased composure in late close games. He's improved ability to resist weather impacts, doesn't matter when you play in a dome, but 50-50 platinum, improved jump ball ability. Now that I know this kid has it, he's getting the ball every time. He is the press pro ability too, so he beats the press more often, and I've been too dumb to realize we have this throughout his entire career. Funny enough, the next week, we're going to have our freshman receiver go off for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns versus NIU. And I've already hopped into 3 matchups, so we're just simming the rest of the season. Well, it looks like the conference championship game is going to be a rematch versus UNLV, but we might have picked up a loss if we're ranked number 7. Never mind, the game is just fairly rating us based off of our schedule. That's where we should be. Looking at this score, though, we barely beat South Dakota State. Also, I'm very impressed that they have found a way to put Oregon above us at 9-3. 3 losses versus 0. We've won playoff games recently, but that's where they are. It is what it is. We still have to prove ourselves, and I don't think we're going to have an issue doing that versus UNLV. We average 39 points per game to their 25, and again, they're lower overall. You can look at the score. All I'm going to say is it really bugs me how good this UNLV team is. They're not playing like they're an 83 overall. They had 2 running backs out there in this formation. I've been trying to find that formation forever, and it looks so weird. They literally have them stacked both on the right side, and it's hard to stop, as you can see. Right here, though, they have to throw it on the run, and it's completed, plus they've juked us out. Wonderful. We're literally about to lose to them. I mean, they're just going to keep on running it, though. That was terrible vision. And there we go. It's another run. They're trying to run out the clock. That's what I was afraid of, but they're not cutting correctly. I've never seen the computer miss 2 holes in a row like that. On 3rd and 7, though, they're probably going to pick this up. Yep, they have the touchdown. And guess what time it is? Now that I've learned of his stats, I'm not looking anywhere else on the field. I mean, he just beat the press literally on the first play. This kid has like 90 speed. We literally have the North Dakota State version of Megatron, and he might not be in the playoff. If they get into field goal range, they end this game right here. My user is going to give up the pass, and you know what? Go ahead. Take the touchdown. I will be generous. We're going to do the same thing right back to you. I am literally so confident in Lamar Stovall here that I'm not looking anywhere else on the field. I mean, he just beat the press immediately. Go ahead, run for a touchdown. This is the easiest thing in the world. And yes, he is so good that we are able to do this like every other rebuild on Heisman. Now, this is where I might lose the game. I have never run this play before, but it looks cool. It's going to him, and he is going to hold on. I mean, we've still given them a pretty good amount of time to get into field goal range, which would then get them the win. But I'm just going to have to trust in our defense, and why are we giving it up? We are better than that at this point. We should not be allowing them to keep throwing to that flat. I already know that I'm going to regret switching over to Tampa 2, though. Now they're at midfield, and this is peak desperation. I can't can't remember the last time I blitzed the computer. It doesn't pay off. We are going to try it one more time, though. They throw it away. And here we go. 3rd and 3. They have somebody open. They're in bounds. That's great. 5 seconds left on the clock now. We just need to drop everybody back. This is going to be the final snap. They're not going to be able to kick a field goal. And I don't know how we continue to win these close ones, but we do. That is some ballsy play calling, but that's how you win consecutive Mountain West titles. We're on a streak of 3, and from the looks of it, this team's not good enough to win it all. We're going to try to go for 4. Or we could actually just have success in the playoffs, but take a look at this. Tim has won head coach of the year. We also have the best coordinator, which means he is going to get poached. We might have some other awards popping up right here. Heisman Trophy goes to Ohio State's quarterback. And there we go. The best special teams returner was our wide receiver, Edward Wiseman. That is literally all that we got. It looks like we're going to be playing Oregon in the quarterfinals. And from a statistics standpoint, if Noah Sharp didn't miss a couple games, he would have been incredible. He might have even hit 4,000 passing yards. We probably made the right decision rolling with him. At the halfback position, I actually moved Chauncey down to number 2 because I noticed we were getting way more yards per carry with Chance Hendricks. And this dude's kind of a stick at running back. He is 6'4", 186 pounds, but he does have 91 speed. Then on the receiving side of things, as good as Lamar Stovall is for us when we hop into matchups, it was Morgan Moffitt, the freshman receiver, that was technically our number 1 guy. And we have one big injury going into the playoffs. Our best rusher, Eric Haslam's out with a partial MCL tear, so he's not going to play for any game. That's like Penn State not having Abdul Carter. We could not have gotten worse news than that. And this entire undefeated season might go out the window in the quarterfinals. If there's any team that intimidates me, it is Oregon. You all know how well that they recruit on this game. And we're just going to have to trust in our guys to step up. Well, here in the 4th quarter, we have a 3-point lead. We're about to go up by 2 possessions. And I'd argue for that alone, they've done a pretty good job. We just got to truck our way through. That is a former quarterback running the ball. We could really use a stop right here. I'm ready for them to throw it straight to me. Instead, they went underneath, and they're still getting the first. I've had enough of using Stepnoski, by the way. He's been my user for years with his 83 speed, but Max Cologne is ready to be a starter. And it is time to try and bait them into an interception. We have the speed to do it. We get the sack. And I'm literally just trying to back everybody up at the moment because I don't want them to pick up this 4th and 16. The check down is not going to get them enough, but they're coming close. That kid's acceleration is on another level. We could only dream of having a prospect like that here at North Dakota State. You know what we do have, though? A Lamar Stovall that I was so tempted to just throw the ball up to, but it would have been dumb. Instead, what I've done is try and burn through as much clock as I can. We're not going to pick up a first down, but we were able to pin Oregon back, and the Ducks have done absolutely nothing with it. Throw me the interception. I know you want to. Come on, test the user, test the user. Okay, it worked for them. In fact, it's working a bit too well. Although we seem to be in a prime position, they've driven down the field, and Max Cologne is going to force the first turnover of his career. I literally just recruited that kid for his name, and now he's making a difference in a playoff matchup. We're going to move on to the semifinals for the 3rd year in a row. And it's nice that we found a real way for Chance Hendricks to get involved if he wasn't going to start at QB. We also have 25 coach points to spend, but if we look at the architect tree, nothing in here is going to help us out whenever it comes to winning these last 2 games. So I'm going over to Motivator, and I'm going to make sure our DBs start the 4th quarter hot in close games, and also that our defensive line starts the 4th quarter hot in close games. That's going to make a big difference. We know that whenever we win, it is by razor thin margins. And I just want to see this team get past the semifinals, where we're probably playing Ohio State in the championship if we do. This is a very tough path to win it all, but we're undefeated. We're the only team in the country that has not lost a game. And I'm feeling good about our odds of taking home that Peach Bowl trophy. There's just something in the air that tells me this is going to be our season. Currently, we're up by 4 points. We're getting into the end zone here. But Florida scored back-to-back touchdowns so fast, it's almost like none of that ever happened. We're losing by 3 all of a sudden, and we're going to fumble here because I'm dumb. I didn't slide. There is still plenty of time left in this game, though. I'm not too worried yet. I'm also going to test their corner. I want to see if they can guard us. You can't. You cannot guard him. He's so good. I've never seen anything like it, and I have had plenty of 6'5" receivers that are even faster than him, but I don't think anybody's ever had this platinum 50-50 ball ability. It is so good. Like, I'm really starting to question if this has just been automatically there throughout this entire video. As much as I wanted to test it, we are going to be safe and pick up the first down. But you don't have to be safe on a 1st and 10. That's for sure. This kid is not going to be tall enough to guard him here. Oh, we dropped it. Okay, it seems like if they are in double coverage, then we're not going to be able to pull it off, but he just beat the press so easily. I really should be focusing on just getting us to the natty. But Chance Hendricks has been a bit of a letdown in this game. They're picking off the halfback screen. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Yeah, EA is trying to make sure that this is not gonna end here. They want North Dakota State to go for more seasons, and that's valid. It's been a short rebuild. Way shorter than I thought it would be, but you know what? We have a star over there on that side of the field, and I wasn't able to throw it to him there, so we're just gonna run instead. I don't think you all realized. I am now convinced that I cannot lose with this team because of that one player. I mean, I am so confident, and that's a scary place to be because the expectations are high, and we have a touchdown. We have a touchdown. What was that coverage? It was never gonna work. You know what is working pretty well, though? The Florida offense. I'm actually very terrified at the moment until we get a sack. And the reason for that is they have just been moving it down the field versus us. I'm pretty sure it's because of our lack of pass rush compared to what it normally would be. I can't let them get into the end zone right here. We're getting the interception with Kennedy. And that's it. There's nothing Florida can do since they only have 2 timeouts. We have done it. We have made it to the national championship with North Dakota State at the FBS level. And this would be the perfect way for Noah Sharp to go out. I mean, I literally tried to bench him and he just decided he was going to sub himself in so he couldn't be redshirted, which in retrospect has worked out well for us, but Ohio State is going to be the hardest team I think we have ever played. They're currently #1 in the country. They had the Heisman Trophy winner. They've only lost 1 game all year. But do you believe in our ability to throw it up to our 6'5" receiver? I do. I would really appreciate it if Lamar Stovall scored every touchdown in this game. They have a star cornerback on him, and they held him up very well there on that play for a bit, but you can only stop the kid for so long. After a defensive stop, we are driving down the field again, and you know what? That is the returner of the year. You can't hold it. We have options here. We don't need to feed it to just one player, though we're about to do that, and that was a pretty good hit from them, but they're not going to hold him in man-to-man coverage. There's no way. I'm literally not even making a read right here. I'm looking in his direction. He's been double-teamed, and instead, we're just going to run, fight our way in. Now, would those 2 drives solidify things for us? Of course it wouldn't. We have not been able to score since. And that means that they've scored 20 straight, but we have the ball back. We're making a bit of progress, which is something that we cannot say that we've done in this second half yet, and now we cannot fumble. We have to avoid letting anything stupid ruin this drive. We're playing well. And on 2nd and 4, I am looking to stretch the D right here, but we'll take the hitch route if we need to. 3rd and inches, a little bit of a handoff, and that is going to get us the first down with chance. But there is still 6 minutes left on the clock, so even if we do get in here, it's not over. There is a lot of football left to be played. Their blitz is not going to work out whenever we go with the halfback screen, but we are out there playing with a backup pass rusher. That worries me here in the playoffs. It's been a difference maker, but we're still fine. It looks like their quarterback, Hennessy, by the way, is punting us the football. That punt is insane. Please at least try to return it. We got very, very fortunate with that bounce. Now we're just doing everything we can to make sure the clock continues to run. And I know this is going to be bad decision making, but I have to do it. This might be the final time I have a chance to throw it up to him. Aggressive catch time. Show him who's boss. Okay. Little bit of a letdown there from Lamar Stovall, but he has been goated for us. I cannot ever complain. I think we're literally going to flip that run it back, and make sure that we get the first down here. We are 1 first down away from this being over. This is where they're going to start sending more players, though, or they're not. Our blocking is just too good. This was always the real goal of this North Dakota State team, though, to run the ball and to build a solid offensive line that can carry us of players that are overlooked by bigger programs. Even if we did start passing the ball a little bit more in these later seasons, I think we lived up to everything I hoped that we could be. And the only thing that could mess it up now is if our defense has some blown coverage in 20 seconds. I'm literally backing everybody up, so that cannot happen. They're going to have to force it somewhere that just isn't going to be open. Lots of time back there in the pocket, though. Little bit concerning. I don't know where he thinks he's about to go. And what a terrible decision. The rest of the clock is going to run out, and that means that North Dakota State has won the national championship. Wins like this always feel a lot more rewarding whenever I tried to do it in a legitimate way, a way that felt a bit more realistic. But these last 3 years went far better than I ever thought they were going to. And I am kind of curious to see how this team would do with 1 more season. I mean, clearly we're going to be losing some key players like Noah Sharp. I can't believe I almost benched him for this year. And Lamar Stovall's also gone, but they don't make the entire program. We just won a championship without the best player on this roster that was drafted in the 2nd round. And I just got to see how this team performs. It's the highest overall that we've technically ever had, plus I wanted to get 1 year with Joey Moffitt under my belt. This is going to actually be a little bit disappointing. It looks like such a great start to the season, but we lost to UNLV, who's ranked 12th in the country, and then also to Nevada. Plus, since the Rebels had the tiebreaker over us, we didn't even make it to the conference championship and we're ranked 15th. During conference championship week, though, something must have changed because we've jumped into a playoff spot. And do you know how well this roster did in the playoffs? We lost to UConn. All of this was with Joey Moffitt having a very, very good season. That just shows it makes a huge difference whenever I'm able to play games. And either way, this was a great rebuild with North Dakota State. But if you're still here, if you've somehow made it this far, please make sure to like the video. You clearly enjoyed it, and also watch some of my other rebuilds if you haven't seen them already.